all of our customers are flying all of their MAXs daily around the world. The airplane is safe, and we're very confident in that.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't hear. That my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear the thoughts build up until I can't hear. That my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Hello and a warm welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. What does Boeing have to do with true crime? Well, in January 2021, the US Department of Justice charged Boeing with criminal conspiracy to defraud the FAA. In that particular case, Boeing agreed to pay $2.5 billion in fines and compensation. This arrangement allowed the company to avoid criminal prosecution. And that is the text that you see right at the end of a Netflix documentary, Downfall, the case against Boeing. Jump from that charge of criminal conspiracy to defraud the FAA in January 2021 to January 2024. And where are we right now? Well, with door plugs falling out of the sky into a Portland teacher's garden. When that happened, Boeing shares went into a free fall. History seems to be repeating itself with this company and with this product. You may remember in March 2019, the Boeing 737 MAX was grounded. In America, it was actually grounded by an announcement by the then president and was grounded until December 2020. 387 aircraft in service were grounded. But just 3 years after being recertified in Europe and Canada, those 737 MAX 9s with a similar configuration to Alaska Airlines Flight 1282, 171 aircraft in all, basically 90% of the production line, were grounded by the FAA once again. Think about what we are talking about: safety, certifications, greed, share prices, all of that kind of thing. Where have we heard this before? Much of this is what we dealt with in the Titan tragedy. And once again, we want to ask, where did all of the problems start? When did they start? And with who did they start? Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Bear in mind, this will be another sciencey analysis in the same way that the Titan submersible, we went into that area. Also, I covered the rust incident, which was about safety. And when you defy safety in a kind of a large-scale format, you can have a criminal situation arising. And the question is, to what extent has that been the case with Boeing? If you're enjoying this analysis, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So about 2 weeks ago, the company released a statement acknowledging a mistake was made, but without saying what that mistake was, and then committing to 100% complete transparency. 100% complete transparency despite a lack of clarity on the ghost in the machine. According to CNN, a company source said that Boeing believes the mistake in question, that's the words they used, the mistake in question was introduced in the aircraft's manufacturing supply chain. However, it was not immediately clear if Calhoun, the CEO, identified any specific error during the presentation. Does that sound like complete transparency? Remember, admitting a mistake could come with real legal liabilities, but more important, share prices falling through the floor. And this was just one of a host of problems facing Boeing. In the Netflix documentary Downfall, the case against Boeing, which really deals with those two crashes and how there was a culture of concealment surrounding that, or there seemed to be, they talk about how safety was made secondary to profits and trying to close the gap between Boeing and Airbus, which of late has been outselling Boeing by quite a large margin. One of the more disturbing things in that documentary was showing small little filings, small little pieces of debris that were left behind inside the superstructure of these aircraft in the rush to get them built. And these metal fragments are susceptible to sparking, which can cause fires in the very wired innards of these aircraft. When you hear that the safety officers have been reduced from 15 to a single person on the floor, and that even when they make comments or complaints to slow down the production, which would slow down the production process, but in the name of safety, these people who do this are often fired, according to this documentary. And that is definitely cause for concern. How many planes are out there with things inside of them that could cause a problem? Now, last year, I caught around 30 individual flights in total, most of them in America. So when I see or hear about airplanes falling out of the sky or parts of them falling into someone's garden, I take notice. Also, when I was covering the Titan submersible disaster, I was looking into the design, the different materials, the composites that were used in aircraft design, and I noticed a heck of a lot of carbon fiber has been added to this, which is to some extent, I wouldn't say experimental, but it's definitely a new development. And as soon as you have different, or let's put it this way, composite elements in a structure, they're going to handle things like pressure and temperature in a different way. And in extreme situations, how well are they going to handle things? And for me, Alaska is actually next on the list of US states I've been meaning to visit. And so when you see an Alaskan airline having a part of it just fragmenting off of it, what are you supposed to make of that? And so the question then arises, are there certain aircraft that are best avoided along with certain airlines and perhaps certain airline companies? The Telegraph in the UK nails down the real issue. This is not just about a part that flew off a plane. This is about a company that's in a dangerous tailspin and has been for some time. When did it start? Where did it start? How did it start? With who did it start? We're going to deal with that, but let's just go to this article to begin with. The Telegraph says, quote, "Flying can be a desperately stifling affair. Hundreds of people crammed into a giant tin can with wings, everyone breathing their germs on each other, while the stale aroma from all that dodgy processed plane food wafts around the cabin. Still, passengers on an Alaska Airlines flight over the weekend are entitled to ask whether Boeing is taking its commitment to ventilation too literally after they were confronted by a gaping hole in the side of a plane shortly after takeoff. With 2 empty seats being sucked out over the night sky, it's a miracle that the company doesn't have another deadly incident on its hands." Well, who can argue with that? Now, in order to address the issues with this Alaskan airline aircraft, we need to go back to the horror crashes of Indonesia and Ethiopia, and even before that, to look at what is happening to this company and can we interrupt this pattern. Bear in mind, Boeing are about to transition a lot of their resources into building products for space missions, including manned missions. Can this company be relied on for safety? Does it need to change in a fundamental way? And will it, as we human beings try to embark on making ourselves an interplanetary species? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.